I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Wyatt.
Here.
Lawson.
Here.
Buns.
Present.
Sewell.
Here.
Reister.
Here. Motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Welcome, everybody. Nice to have a full house for a change, under positive circumstances.
Yeah.
I've got two proclamations, and I'm just going to summarize because they're going to be printed in the Hudson paper, as I understand it, next week, right?
Yep.
First of all, Arbor Day. We're going to celebrate Arbor Day in the city of Hudson on Friday, April 29th of 2022. Urge all citizens to celebrate the Arbor Day and support the efforts to protect our trees and our woodlands. Second is Clerk Week. This is a proclamation for May 1st to May 7th as the 53rd Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week. If anybody's ever worked around City Hall at all or watched these two over here, there's a lot of education it takes to become a city clerk or deputy city clerk. Therefore, I, George Bussell, Mayor of Hudson, do recognize the week of May 1st through May 7th, 2022 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our city clerk, Chrissy Wiersma, our deputy city clerk, Katie Bading, and to all professional municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Dated 11th of April 2022, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all your hard work all year long. Yes, thanks very much.
Citizens request, Girl Scouts Troop 2607, something to do about a cleanup project?
That's right.
What y'all got?
Julia, do you want to tell them what we're asking for?
We want to go to the city park and clean up.
Bless you.
That would be And you wanted our permission to let you do that? We will gladly let you do that.
Do you need anything from us for help? Do you need garbage bags or
I
anything
was
like
gonna
that?
ask, do you know, are there certain things you're wanting other than garbage removal, like stick pickup, those sorts of things?
Whatever you.
I mean, sweeping up like the shelter area, things like that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, anything that you would think could use some cleanup, just go right
Okay.
after it.
We can
We
do
won't
that.
hold you back on any of that.
Okay.
But yeah, if you need trash cans or anything else, Jake's got
Yeah, I
some
was
trash
gonna
cans
say
out there.
Jake probably would be the one that
Yeah.
if you have questions or want to know exactly what to do, he would be the
Okay.
one to call.
Okay.
Remind me and I will grab his business card that it has his
Okay.
cell phone and stuff on it.
And we haven't set a date yet, I don't
Okay.
think, for
Okay.
our troop, I don't believe.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
just gonna
'cause
ask that if you had a date in mind.
Yeah,
You know, if you pick up sticks and, you know, put them in a pile, he probably can make sure
Yeah.
they
okay.
get.
Like he'd be more than
Just
happy
don't
to
light
do
them on
that.
fire, we don't need it.
Yeah,
Test the fireplace.
Been done, don't do it again. Please.
Thank you. You don't
Yeah,
have to stick
thanks
around
a
for the
lot.
rest of the meeting, but you're
Okay.
welcome to.
You're welcome to go.
Thank you.
Are you guys here for presenting or just to observe?
We're observing, yes.
Merit
What
badge
troop
time.
are you guys?
60, 30-60.
3060, thank you.
Jim, Lisa,
10.
I'm Jim Schaefer. I set up getting us on the agenda tonight, but really what we wanted to bring was our economic development team, Lisa Scubel, Vice President Economic Development, and Danny Lotta, our Program Director. So, did you guys get the strategic plan? Did I get that distributed to you? So
I don't have it, but Chrissy might. Did you get?
We
the-
all got it
We got
via
it.
email at one point
Okay.
in life.
Okay.
Would you like a hard copy as well? Because Lisa's going to touch upon some of that. or-
That's up to you guys if you have them. If
I
not,
have
we-
them.
I'll take
well
one.
then there you go.
Just fine.
I assume you fully prepared, read the whole thing.
Well, I read it last night, or before I came here.
But I'll turn it
Well, I
over
was
to you.
gonna-
Thank you for having us tonight. I asked Danny, I said, should we stand up or sit down?
You do whatever you want.
Yeah, you know what, it's more of a conversation, and, you know, we'll just make it that. Carrie Dara would have been here today too, but During the, really the height of the pandemic, her mother passed away, so tonight her mother's friends are having a celebration of life in honor. And just where she needs to be, but she'll be engaged and is familiar with what we're gonna be talking about tonight, so she's in the loop. So, last fall, I think some of you were familiar with it, and we talked about it, Mayor Wessel and Kate, I think you talked about it too, when we had coffee with Jim. Our board of directors met to outline a strategic plan that Rural Cedar Valley's work need to reflect, especially during this time we're in, which is transitionary, post-pandemic. What are the needs now? We know everything has changed in our business, on the home front, and certainly in the work we do at Rural Cedar Valley in community and economic development. So that strategic planning session, GCV's board had set the stage of what the organization's goals and strategies will be over the next 5 years. And so that's what that piece in front of you reflects. So the results ended up being 4 priority areas. The first goal is to grow and diversify the quality and quantity of Cedar Valley's workforce. Among other things, it helps existing businesses address their workforce needs, which every business has. So it's keeping Danny really busy than some. And better align training with industry needs. And that's, for us, that's partnering with the community colleges, the universities, LORAD on what that looks like, but with the optics of our existing businesses of what skills they need too. So being that connector and that intermediary person of doing that. And Danny was just doing that last week with some businesses and educators. Goal 2 is to elevate the Cedar Valley as a place of choice for individuals and business. Some of you may have heard the term of placemaking. In fact, IEDA has some grant money they're going to be distributing over the next, well, in a month or so, throughout the state on programs and projects that connect communities and look at it with regional focus versus just funding one project in one city. That's probably the best way for the city to get the biggest bang for the dollar. And if you know Debbie Durham, she likes regionalism and multi-city cooperation, even within just one county. So you'll hear more about that. So that's investing in infrastructure that make Hudson and the Cedar Valley a better place to live. That's part of that workforce attraction and retention. So both the goal 1 and 2, and I'll turn it over to Danny in a minute to go a little bit deeper dive into that. Then we have goal number 3, which is to enhance the diversity of Cedar Valley's economic base. So what this includes is expanding and then strengthening our existing business retention program to reach more of our businesses. So we know in Iowa and the Cedar Valley, and maybe that number might be higher in Hudson, but overall 90 to 95% of our expansion and growth and retention opportunities come from our existing businesses. And we've had great success stories through that outreach where we've been able to help companies either do some advocacy for legislative programmatic things, or help them with expansion and be able to be that advocate forum for state and local programs that will help them get it done. The other thing that we will continue to do is attracting diversified industries. That's been in our DNA over 2 decades at Rural Cedar Valley. This industry diversification helps our communities navigate what's happening in the economy. So for example, if ag farm economy is down, we have here on the other side food processing and distribution with companies like Target, ConAgra grocery products everyone has to eat. Tyson's another one, and Nestle would be a third one. But things like that, because we want to make sure that as segments of our economy might have a rough patch, we want to make sure that there's a balance of a bull and bear market in our community. So people are buying cars and going to the restaurants and eating out, etc., getting their teeth fixed at the dentist's office. And part of that work with our cities includes lead generation for the cities, for their industrial parks, and advocacy for expansion of those industrial parks too. And then we also advocate for the development within the communities. That means going to planning and zoning meetings, city council meetings, and even at the state or federal level too. If there's a project or development that needs our observation, our goggles of why it's important, one of us likes to be there to be able to advocate on behalf of the development, continued development of any community. And then with Danny returning to Rural Cedar Valley, we're going to be able to further grow the entrepreneurship in the Cedar Valley that he started at Red Cedar and now continues with GCV, and he'll mention that here in a bit. And lastly, goal 4, secure adequate resources to ensure long-term organizational success. So just like our existing businesses that we're saying, we have to look at opportunities where we can keep and retain and grow our talent. We have to lead by example too at Grove Cedar Valley. So this last goal 4 is to ensure we have needed staff, talent to do the first 3 goals and do them well for Hudson and the Cedar Valley. A couple months ago, we saw the City Council approve an update comprehensive plan, and we've read the executive summary, but referred
They
to
have
the
notes on theirs, do you see that? I like it.
Well, it's important we align, and we've sat and huddled together as a team just to go over what that looks like and where we fit in, and I'll go back to that in a second. So I do think that there's some alignment with goals between what the city has and Grove Cedar Valley has from the document that Jim put in front of you. But again, I want to come back to that in a minute, but I want to reintroduce you to Danny Loddick, and he's going to talk about some of the things he's embarking on right now with placemaking and talent recruitment and retention, and maybe entrepreneurship too. If you have time.
So my quick background, so I used to work at Grove Cedar Valley back 2014, 2017, so mid-2017. And then I actually left and we started a new organization called Red Cedar, working with a lot of new business startups. So we realized a lot of our work in economic development focuses on the existing expansion of large companies. We didn't have a lot of specific focus toward people starting new businesses, because usually they're not at the business events, they're in their garage, they have a full-time job, they're doing it on the side. So we started a new organization just to focus on who are the startups, who are the people starting new enterprises. And there's a lot of data and research that shows typically across the country about 100% of net job growth comes from new businesses because they're solving new problems, creating new products. So I did that for about the last 4 years, and we've always kept in touch. To Grove Cedar Valley, it was just hard to start a new thing in an existing organization, but it's economic development, so we knew eventually we kind of bring it together. So then I left, started Red Cedar, and then just this last September I came back and kind of brought all the startup stuff with me, but also took over my old position on the workforce side that was still open. So the last 6 months I've kind of been rebuilding what does it look like for the workforce piece. And we've always kind of split it into 3 areas for workforce. One is just attraction and retention. It's the overall number of people we have, and how do we make this area the type of place people want to live, quality of life, arts, culture, recreation, the storytelling around the community, how are we reaching people, especially people that grew up here and moved away, how are we reaching them to look at coming back. So a lot of that is kind of working on a few direct things to help with recruitment, but then also the longer term, what do we do in the next 5 to 10 years to really help people want to live here. The second one is that education piece and aligning what we're training with what our businesses need. So I do a lot of kind of the collaboration between the K-12 institutions, universities, colleges, to kind of look at what training programs we have in place and where do we have gaps in what we have for workforce. So I work with a lot of the HR contacts in the area, a lot of the businesses, kind of look at where are we having trouble finding specific skill sets, and then kind of work with the schools to figure out, okay, what resources do they need to better support getting students lined up with opportunities and learning about what's in the area. You always take for granted what's in your own backyard. So then the third piece is more of the utilization piece of all the people who do live here, what percentage of them are actively able to participate in the workforce. We know there's real barriers like childcare, transportation issues, language translation issues for a lot of immigrants to the community. So we partner a lot with, and this is where it was interesting getting on the workforce side, because from economic development, traditionally is very business focused, and the workforce piece now is very much like, well, if we're going to address barriers to employment, you're starting to work with all the service providers, child care centers, immigration centers. So we do a lot working with like Embark, the Burmese refugee representative group, to figure out, okay, how can we help better connect within the community for employment opportunities. So we've been over the last couple of months really rebuilding some of those connections with the Afghan refugee crisis and the Ukrainian one as well, talking to the Catherine McCauley Center down in Cedar Rapids where a lot of the refugees are coming, to kind of see what does it take for a community to help provide support. And then a lot of the pieces are addressing housing issues. Childcare has been a big one that we've gotten rolling in the last couple of years. Transportation is the one that's come up a lot recently. So a lot of people struggle with transportation. You know, it's in the Midwest, we have that issue. We don't have a lot of public transportation because most of us have cars. So for those of us that don't, it's a real barrier. So we're looking at how can we get maybe some private partnerships set up to be able to provide work transportation beyond what the normal transit providers can do, especially on second and third shifts. So we do a lot of that work as well. So that's kind of the workforce piece, and then we are launching a few new programs for new business startups. Co-Starters is one we're starting next Tuesday. It's a 10-week, one night a week, covers all the pieces of starting a new business, the business model, revenue structure, cost structure, who are your customers, how do you reach them, just all the basics, cohort models, so we can start to find more of those people working on new business ideas and help support them as they get them started. So that's kind of generally what we're working on. A big piece of it really is on that talent attraction. We've got a lot of data that we could show on 2018 and 2019. We actually had 6,600 newcomers to Blackhawk County. Not a lot of people realize how many people move in and out. We actually had 7,700 leave, so we had a net loss. And we're able to track that year over year to kind of see where are people going, why. And we're not in a bad spot. Like, yes, we're losing people, but we have time to kind of look at that, why is it, and start investing in what are the things that will keep people here. So one of the big things we're going to start doing is we haven't had any newcomer events in a while. Just like any good business, you have to onboard your new employees to make sure they connect with the team, they get settled in. We want to start doing a lot more with those 6,600 people that move here every year to get them connected, get them involved in groups and organizations in the community. A number of times I've heard from people that have said, yeah, I've lived here the last 3 years, I go to work, I go to the grocery store, that's about it. So we want to do a lot better job working with newcomers, making sure they know the housing available. So we've talked with a lot of the employers, and a lot of them do a little bit of newcomer stuff when they're trying to attract someone here or when they recruit someone, but it's usually just taking them to dinner, giving them a little bit of info. So we want to start offering official community tours, like hour and a half. We'll train the volunteers how to do it. We'll have volunteers that have a variety of backgrounds, interests, so that someone can connect. But that's one of the big things we're working on, is how do we better keep those 6,600 people each year coming here.
One of the things I know that we still do, I'm sure Chrissy, right, and Katie, do we still have chamber welcome packs that we give out? So the city of Hudson and the chamber, every time somebody comes and signs up for utilities, they get a bag of Hudson things.
Okay.
But it could, of stuff from all the different businesses that want to put something in there.
Yep.
So that's something we could definitely,
Collaborate.
We'll make sure your chamber knows about this newcomer event.
yeah, well,
So,
we have a chamber meeting Wednesday, so I'll shoot you an email tonight or tomorrow and see if we can just get some quick info about it.
Yep, because that is one big attractor, is a lot of people, they did a big statewide survey of about 800 people who are here, so they're biased, they are here. But to ask them what makes them attracted to Iowa and what makes them potentially want to leave. The biggest thing of why they might want to leave was perceived lack of job opportunities. And we have opportunities, it's just they're not as easily visible as what people might think they could find in another bigger state. But the number one reason people stay is they do like the small town feel. Like they're looking for a community they can be involved with. So when people are looking to come here, we want to make sure we can show, we were talking to VGM and Mike Malero, they were saying 40% of his staff does not live in the metro. So to him, his recruitment, his workforce is not metro based. So we want to make sure we do a good job of reaching those people who are looking for genuinely the quality of life and the style of life we have around here.
And I know you guys have all heard me talk about for years that, bringing people to Cedar Valley does not mean excluding places. They need us just as much as we need them
Absolutely.
for the different things
Choice.
to bring in everything. So it's definitely a mutual need for, and you mentioned a stat the other day when I was talking to you about the total number of houses that we're gonna, or homes that will be short by the next, how many years?
By 2030.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some months ago when Debbie Durham was in town, that was the first time I heard the stat. She had said by the year 2030, we're gonna need 60,000 more housing units in Iowa. That can include single family, condo, apartment, et cetera. That's on top of what is projected to be built.
Right,
Yeah,
currently.
so this is, currently. So that's huge for Iowa, so the state has their optics on it. And, one thing we've come to see and look with Hudson, you've been able to do it right. I mean,
Rock
just-
stars at that housing development.
I mean, really, you are, so people, when people move to a community, as Danny said, the person who hired them can point them in the right direction. But it's really up to them to decide what kind of lifestyle they wanna lead, where they wanna live at. That's a personal decision for them and their family if they have one, so. And I think that you provide that great mix, just driving in here, cause I live out in Washburn, just love just what I see with the new housing construction out there. And of course, you have a great ballpark too, because both my, I was telling Kate this, my kids come over here, it's like, oh great, we're going to Hudson, they have a great.
They really liked our dugouts, and I was like, they should. Those are really good dugouts. Who's covering his face over there?
That was a hard fought battle.
That was.
Right now. We're lucky to have them.
We are,
Lucky
they're
to
great.
have 'em.
Yeah,
I love that that was the comment that got made though, and I was like, we gotta bring that back over
we just
here.
need a little bit more parking.
Yeah.
I joked with Kate, my girlfriend's from Westgate, so up by Sumner, really small town. She does not want to live in town. She did it for me for now. And the family farm up there, her sister had twins, and they had built a small live-in area, planning to have one kid, and then twins happened. So they ended up taking the farmhouse, but we'll definitely end up outside of town here at some point. So Kate's been very good at advocating.
But, is that it too?
Yeah.
So really, our ask tonight is, we're just requesting to sit down and meet, Mayor, with your Economic Development Task Force, this on executive summary. Just to look at, sit down, have a discussion where our programming aligns, priority areas for you, and what the city's priorities, within the priorities are over the next 12 to 24 months, and discuss how Grove Cedar Valley can support you in that area. But also visionary, looking at the next 5 and 10 years, what are those long-term goals and objectives that you want to accomplish as well.
Yeah, we haven't had a task force meeting for a while. I'll be back in May, still theoretically in Arizona. So yeah, May or June, we usually, about the 20th of the month, we'll cross-check with you, get a meeting, so it'd be good to have a good discussion.
Yeah, we talked a lot about, we've talked a few different times at different events and things like that about planning services that they can assist us with, because we are very good at the right now, what we need to do right now. But there was just an article in the paper, the governor has issued some grants for shovel-ready things that are going on that you can get grants for that have to be done within the next 12 months. And unfortunately, we don't have any of those projects right now. I mean, we're still in those planning phases, but how can we continue to move those forward? And I think they're great partners for how we can continue to look ahead at some of those things, so that's fantastic. So we appreciate you coming and talking to us for sure, and willingness to work with us too, because like I said, we need them just as much as they need us, so.
Absolutely, it's mutual, for sure.
Yeah, thanks for spending the time, and we'll get cross-check on the calendar and some of the task force members. We'll go through that, that'd be good.
Sounds good.
Anything else you want from us tonight?
Jim, anything else?
Jim?
I mean, I know you guys have been investors the past number of years, and through COVID and stuff, you got another extension for another year, so I don't know where you're at on your budgeting. We would just wanted to come back here because it has been a few years, so, I mean, obviously, we're only as good as the businesses and the investors that support us financially, so these two can go out and do what they do, so we're always willing to have that conversation, but this is more of an informational, get to know these folks and then circle back, but.
My intent is that we continue on as investors and have some discussions at the council level and see if we can jack up that investment a little bit further.
Yeah, and there may be some contract or some additional things that we want to buy into that they could help us with that, so. And working with Intercog and them as well to do some of that, but it's definitely something we should put on that next economic development conversation, so.
So if you'd like to stay on, I mean, for this fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay, then, yeah, I'll get it, and then you guys approve, if you have any questions, just let me know, but we appreciate that, and then continue and having this. We've got a great story to tell. I mean, the Cedar Valley really is 35-mile radius, so,
Absolutely.
you know, it's good for, what's good for you guys, good for us, and vice versa, and Waverly and everybody, so.
Chrissy, what's the latest number? What building or lot developments do we have? Is it over 200?
Wow.
So, you know, yeah.
Residential.
Residential, yeah, there is, potentially this fall, 13 to 15 commercial lots that'll be developed.
So, yeah, we have a
And
lot to talk about.
potentially
and
60
plan.
apartment.
We do, it's gonna be a long meeting,
You know-
and, maybe May, when we get together, we could talk about what those needs are and then figure out it, to your point, Kate, is this a fee for services or something
Right,
like that?
whatever we need, yeah.
And they're increasing that, so we have something more contextual to go by.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to do Quality of Life magazine for the region to use in all.
Okay, just a second, Matt.
recruiting, newcomer stuff. And we want to make sure we get all the communities included in it. Who would be the best person to reach out to about just a write-up and
Chrissy?
Chrissy,
get
where's
your
mine?
information?
Did Matt have a question?
Okay, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah,
You should.
what does being an investor mean? I know we've done that in the past, I just forget. And like, what are the benefits that come with that?
Did you hear him?
What are the benefits to being an investor with Grove Cedar Valley? Go
And
for
how
it.
much does it cost?
Where am I talking?
Camera's technically over there, but wherever, he can
Yeah,
hear
It's
you.
over
He
there.
can
Yeah,
hear
He
you.
can hear you.
We call our businesses investors rather than members, because we know you're investing in our organization, you're investing in the community, and through our networking events, you're investing your time. Now, years ago, it used to be, on the community development, was in the number of employees, and then we always did an economic development campaign. We've kind of switched that, so we have developed it through some benefits and stuff. Cities are a little different because it's not as transactional as what a business is gonna get, you know, listing on a website, which you guys already have and things like that, but it's really just being part of the conversation. Because we are lucky to have you and I and Hawkeye in our backyards, and the Waterloo Cedar Falls, the Hudson Community Schools. We've got a lot of traction here, but specifically the benefits, we can certainly share that with you, and added benefits. Cities, it's really just being part of the conversation.
And the ability to come in and do some of these things as well.
Yeah.
And I think
What's
through
the
any
cost?
type of
It's
service
$1,000 a
agreement,
year.
we're gonna
$1,000
outline
a
and
year,
agree on
Matt.
that pretty good,
Okay,
of what
thank you.
those needs
You're
are,
welcome.
and Matt and the rest of the council will have that input on that as well.
Right.
Because we want to provide you with over the value of what you're paying,
Yeah.
if you make, if that makes sense.
We love it.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for your time.
Your time.
Appreciate it.
You don't have to stick around unless you want to.
It's been a few years.
Yeah, he knows everyone, I can't take him any place, yeah.
It's an issue.
It's not a problem.
It's not a problem, it's a good thing.
It's a good thing to have, so we'll catch up.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys, thanks for coming.
See ya.
I think you might have one more citizen speak, maybe?
Yes.
I
All
thought
right.
so.
Yeah, all right, Curtis Wyckoff, 434 Primrose Drive. My first question is just, what do I do with that old blue recycling box? Do I bring it here? You know, I still got that from,
The last I knew, we could put them out on recycling day and they would pick them up. Is that
Okay.
still accurate?
Recycle the recycling.
Yeah, they'll recycle the
Okay.
recycling bin. I haven't gotten mine out yet either.
yeah. Anyways, why I'm here is, once again, is the drainage thing. I'm just wondering what it's been a month, what has got going, what's got, you know, has the ball got rolling?
We're
What's
waiting
up?
for Tom, Jake was gonna meet with Justin Peterson today and try to figure out exactly what's going on, whether Tom had an arrangement with anybody as far as it, but we're gonna step in and work it out with Tom to get it all rectified. up
Tom
to
is who again?
Peterson.
Hudson
Okay,
Hardware.
okay.
Yeah, he's the one that put the drainage tile in 15 years ago, and that's who.
And I would really actually kind of like to still talk with him or somebody as far as why I spent 2 hours last Monday picking up rocks on my hands and knees. I don't know why they put them all, I got over almost 100 pounds of rocks all along my yard that, you know, I didn't want to mow over and stuff, so.
Sure.
Just wondering what that was from and why, were they gonna plan on picking that up? I mean, I really didn't want to pick it up,
Sure.
but I did it because I probably figured nobody else would. So,
Tom's out on vacation, Jake was gonna talk with Justin today and find out when Tom is coming back off of vacation. I've been out of town for the last few months, I'll be back in about the 1st of May.
okay.
We
Have
expect,
have you looked at it? I mean,
No, I have
the
not.
new damage, okay.
I've been gone for
I'm
the
still
winter.
welcome, anybody can come over, I'll be home tonight.
No, I'll take your word for it from the damage standpoint.
Yeah.
And our expectation of Tom and Justin or anybody else who's back there was to put it back the way it was. And that was our understanding with him, so that's what we're trying to figure out between Justin and Tom, where it's at from that
Okay, because I
standpoint.
mean, it's uneven, it's a mess.
No, I understand.
Remind us of your address, please.
434 Primrose.
Clear on the west
Too
edge
wide.
of the Glenda Chase Edition.
Or southeast, west, okay.
Yep, yep.
So, yeah, I just wanted, so hopefully
Curtis is the
maybe,
last house on the, coming down, he's on the north of the
your
lots
neighbors?
that are just in, that are hitting up to the back of the
Who's his
water.
neighbors?
Who are the neighbors? Been turnover there, I don't know who the
Okay.
neighbors are.
It's not a house that I would
It's
recognize
about
neighbors
2 or
in.
3 houses from, it was where Dennis Trumke built the house.
See, old time Hudson person, you have to be like, you know,
Yeah.
Ross's house and Nelson's house and
Yeah.
those houses, that's the only way I
No.
know, so,
I just know it's Dr. Solomon's house, but,
okay, perfect.
Oh, that's right, it sounded for a while, yeah.
so we'll get the ball rolling here then with,
Yes.
come back here in a couple of weeks if nothing's,
When
It probably
about-
won't be
you
a
know,
couple
some-
weeks.
Oh,
I would doubt that we would know anything.
yeah, because from the standpoint of the ground,
Yeah.
I'll get in touch with you, Curtis.
okay,
But I would say
Appreciate
probably
it.
about the 1st of May.
okay, I appreciate it.
All right?
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thanks, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt,
Oh,
but
no.
that's what he was here for,
Thanks.
sorry.
I appreciate it. Committee reports, admin, personnel, finance committee, Gail?
Okay, we met on Monday, March 28th. First item on the agenda was the property liability insurance renewal, and that's on the agenda for tonight. We had planned that it was gonna go up 12 to 15%. That's what we had budgeted, but looks like our final increase then is the 10%, and so.
Like lower than expected.
Yeah, yeah. So, and some of the other reasons for the increase was the commercial property premium went up, and then the business personal property premium. And then a couple of years ago, we had to add the cybersecurity insurance in, and that increased from $1,200 to $1,750 a year, so. So we recommended the approval of the insurance policy to council, and like I said, that is on tonight's agenda. Next, we had a discussion with Mary Busey, our library director. She's having a hard time filling a part-time position. She has advertised for over a year, even recently, and had absolutely no applications. So she wanted to see the possibility of, and she hadn't discussed any of this with the library board, so it was just some preliminary discussion, that the possibility of turning the part-time position into a full-time, and either way from asking one of the part-times if they want to go to full-time. And so if that scenario happens, then basically it would only be as if we needed to give benefits for that, because she already has built in that part-time position. And she's actually down in the last 3 years, another part-time position. So, and she had, they helped 18,000 people last year at the library. So with all the extra people moving into town and everything, her services, as well as, like she mentioned, the police departments, is increasing. And so we went ahead and said that we would move forward with approval of a full-time position. And then, of course, this was subject to the library board, but we told her we could help fund that.
I was gonna ask, is that our point to make her
No.
positions, or is it the library board?
It's the library.
But we have the control because of the
Of their
budget
funding.
dollars.
Right, so that's why she wanted to start with us.
Sure,
To
I mean,
see
makes
if she would
sense,
have
that's
the
just that gray
support
area of who
Yes.
for
does
that.
what, but.
Exactly, so, and then we adjourned at 5:09.
Thanks, Gail. Any questions for Gail? Park equipment discussion. Kate, you wanted this on the agenda for some
I
discussion?
did. So we have, and is that in the packet? I didn't even, it's right there. Ha! It's really cool, thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
We have received approval, we've gotten a couple grants for, to upgrade the